Welcome back to that Flight Sim channel, everyone. This is Captain Gonzo, and today we're continuing along with the Black Square A36 Professional Tutorial Series, this time behind the turbocharged A36 with the included external wingtip tanks. Guys, just like I said before for the naturally aspirated A36 tutorial, we're still learning it. Now, this flight, I did it immediately after I ended the naturally aspirated flight with the A36, picking up here in Daytona, and this turned out to be a beautiful evening/nighttime flight down to the Keys aboard the turbocharged variant. It is a phenomenal aircraft, and you can really feel the difference in performance, and you will see here momentarily what I'm talking about. Okay, this thing is a rocket, and I can't even imagine once we hop over to do the tutorial on the turboprop converted A36. Okay guys, so stay tuned, enjoy the flight, and hopefully you can learn something along with me here. Here we go, guys. We are in the Black Square A36TC turbocharged, and we're going to be doing a flight here where we landed on the naturally aspirated A36. Now we're heading down to Key West from Daytona, so we're going to see how much more performance we get out of this turbo normalized A36. Look at the interior, way better compared to the A36 we flew on the inbound here to Daytona. We're going to be using the GTN 750. If you're looking for a more basic tutorial, then check out the A36 tutorial here that we just did. Whoa, what's happening here? This thing's glitching. So I'm just going to make this pre-flight walk around really quick. Make sure everything looks good. Static ports are clear. The NACA duct there is clean and clear. Little exhaust port here looks good. Tip tanks, can we open them? Nope. I think I just removed my chocks. Yep. And the pitot cover is removed as well. Can we open the fuel tanks? Nope. Okay, let's remove the inlet plug here. Let's check the prop. Good tension. I don't see any bird nests in there. No leaks. Nose gear looks good. Just like the A36, we can enable the heater, but we won't need it. And on the other side, you can connect your GPU if you so desire by clicking right there on the external power cover. All right, pre-flight looks good. I don't see anything in the way here, so let's go ahead and close the passenger entry and cargo door. Let's climb aboard. All right, let's close that door. Let's remove the control locks. We'll keep the little porthole window open. Let's hide the yoke. Look at this. This panel looks so much better, more modern, right? And it's just the colors, that's all it is. All right, before starting engine checklist, pre-flight inspection is complete. Control locks are stowed. Seats and seat belts are secured. Cabin doors latched. Parking brake set. Emergency gear handle is stowed. That is back here. There it is. Looks good. Avionics circuit breakers. Those are all in. Flaps up. Oxygen pressure. We're in the green. I think by default we get 2150 psi. We'll be needing it today as we'll be cruising at 18,000 feet. Avionics are off. Throttle is closed. Propeller lever. Full forward or high RPM. Mixture rich. Cow flaps open. Aileron trim is centered. Alternate air is off. You see it right here. Firewall valve open, so it should be pushed in. Landing gear is down. All sub-panel switches are off. Yep, I don't have any power. Nothing is powered on. Load meter set to primary. That is right here. Main breakers all in. Yep, everything is popped in or checked in. Alternate static air to normal. That's that little guy right there. So it should be stowed as such. The CO carbon monoxide detector will test it. Good. Fuel selector to the fullest tank. We'll leave it on the left tank for now. Beacon light can come on. There's the beacon. Battery can come on. And you know what? Before we do that, let's go ahead and get our payload set up. I should have done that before turning on the battery. So we're looking for 442 pounds of fuel. Right now we've got 309. So let's do this. Let's add to our mains. 391. 421. There we go. A little bit extra gas never hurt us. So 482 versus 442. Baggage 165. So we're going to top that out at 70. We're taking 3 passengers on board. So we'll remove the co-pilot. Alright, so we're kind of flirting with our center of gravity limit there. So let's reduce the weight here a bit. So we've got a couple of kids on board. Why not? And a grown adult back there, 170. You know what? Let's leave the kids back there. Let's add them as a co-pilot. There we go. 170 and 170. So that's all set. I feel much better about that. Okay. Bus volts, 23 volts minimum. Good. Annunciators test and consider. Annunciator test. Everything looks okay. Primary alternator on. Standby alternator on. Fuel quantities checked. Yep, 3/4 on each side. Auxiliary fuel pump, we're going to set it to low and just listen for it. Yep. And come back to off. Standby gyro pump on. You can hear it. Look at your attitude indicator. And instrument air, we got to check we're in the green. Checked. Standby gyro off. Now we're going to do the engine start procedure for a cold aircraft, or cold engine. So mixture full rich, prop lever high RPM, throttle full open. And let's grab the tablet, which is something I did not do the last flight with the A36. Let's enable the aux fuel pump to high for no more than 2 to 3 seconds, and we should verify that we have a 2 to 3 gallons per hour or greater fuel flow. Here we go. You can see the fuel being fed into the cylinders. Above 3, turn it off. We don't want to flood the cylinders there with fuel. Aux fuel pump is off. Throttle, we're going to open it to 1/2 inch. We're going to engage the starter and we're going to use the throttle to control to maintain 1000 to 1200 RPM. Check left. Check right. Clear prop. There we go. 1000 RPM. Let's go ahead and connect our headset. Much better. Alright, we can put this away now that we know we've got a good engine. Everything is flowing nominally. After starting engine checklist throttle 1000 to 1200 RPM, we're at 1000. Oil pressure in the green. It is in the green. You can always tap. Make sure they're not stuck. Start annunciator extinguished. Yep. Low volts annunciator extinguished. Alternator load below 25 amps in 2 minutes. Yep. We're below 25 amps. Bus voltage 28 volts. Engine instruments check. Oil temperature slowly climbing. Cylinder head temperature and EGT are still cold. Everything looks a-okay here on my part. Lights as required. We'll set our nav light on. Weather radar to off or standby. We'll set it to standby. Avionics can come on. Cabin air and heat as desired. 82 degrees in here, so let's go ahead and turn off the cabin heat. Get some air. Let's get our vent blower. Air conditioning as desired. Mixture, lean for taxi. We'll release the parking brakes and check the brakes as we get ready for taxi. Let's go ahead and pick up ATIS. So we're going to go here into the GTN 750, 132. 875 is ATIS. Transfer.
Few at 800 feet. Few at 3500 feet. Few at 6000 feet. Temperature 21. Dew point 21. Altimeter 2991. Density altitude 700 feet. FOD walk in progress. Expect delays on the ramp. Advise on initial contact. You have information uniform. 0 feet.
Okay, let's go to clearance.
3500 feet. Few at 6,000 feet.
119.3. And this is why I love the GTN 750. It's just so much easier to use this modern display. Very common in these type of airplanes. We've got the clearance frequency set. Guys, and let me know, by the way, if you don't like these tutorials with ATC in the background. And if it's kind of interrupting or distracting you, let me know. I will gladly start making tutorials without them. Okay, I just use it for realism and immersion and to challenge myself, especially as I'm getting more and more familiar with the Black Square Bonanza. Alright, so we've got ATIS information uniform. Let's set our altimeters here, which was 29091. And don't forget about your other altimeter. There we go, close enough. And we are in the dusk evening hours here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my panel lights on. Let's get the floodlights just to get some nice colors there. There we go. I love the lighting in here. Let's give clearance a call. Daytona clearance, good evening. Bonanza 408 Delta Delta with uniform requesting IFR to Key West.
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, cleared to Key West. Radar vector Smyra, then is filed. Climb and maintain 8,000. Expect flight level 18010 minutes after departure. Departure on 118.85 squawk 4322. Expect runway 25 right.
Cleared to Key West. Radar vectors to Smyra, then is filed. Climb and maintain 8,000. Expect flight level 18010 minutes after departure. Departure frequency on 118.85 squawk 4322. Expecting 25 right for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta.
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, read back correct. Ground is on 121.9er, safe flight, sir.
Let's go to 121.9er. There we go. So on departure, we'll climb to 8,000. We'll set that here. Get ahead of it. Let's go ahead and set up this flight plan now that we've got our clearance. So let's go to flight plan. Here's the departure. Destination. Key West. Add waypoint. So we're going to Smyra. After Smyra, we're joining the Tango 208. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Load airway. Yes, there we go. And let me pull up my SimBrief dispatch here so you guys can see where I'm getting that. So Smyra, here's 25 right out of Daytona, Tango 208 airway to Dimby. So now we're going to scroll here and find Dimby. There's the set of waypoints between Smyra and Dimby via the Tango 208. Press load. Add waypoint. After Dimby, we go to Diddy. Oh no, not a good name nowadays. After Diddy, we go to Swags. You see how much easier it is to use the GTN 750? Gotta love it. And after Swags, we go to Hito. Or Mito, don't know which one's silent. And then we're gonna see what kind of approach we can expect there for Key West. So we've got the flight plan set. Let's go to menu. Cruising altitude 18,000 feet. That's configured. Let me see what other stuff I need. Nope. I'm good. VNAV. So this is if I want to set specific targets, but we're fine. We're just going to climb using vertical speed for now. Flight plan is set. I'm going to set the 650 over here to my flight plan just to see what waypoints I've got. I'm going to go to the mode here for the map. And let me change my squawk to 4322. 4322. On. Enter. And you can see that it automatically updates here on the GTX 327. We've got our flight plan, we've got our route, we've got our clearance. I think we are ready to taxi, so let me reset my camera. Alright, I think we're ready to taxi, so let's go ahead and give them a call. Daytona ground, Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Requesting taxi to 25 right for departure. Go ahead and set flaps down for departure.
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, runway 25 right, taxi via Echo November.
Echo November to 25 right for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Alright. Coming off the parking brake. Of course. Ramp worker wants to go right through our wing as we start taxiing. Let's check the brakes. Good brakes. Echo is just out here to the right. And then we'll make a left towards 25 right. Actually, disregard that. S3416. Let's see where we're at. Let's get familiar here. Alright, we've got it sorted out. We're going to make a right on Echo here. And we're going to cross runway 25 right. They did not tell us to hold short, so I'm going to take that as a go ahead. And we'll make a right on November, and then 25 right is over here on this end.
Fish on the ground, Skyhawk 34217, ready for a taxi, IFR.
Alright, we're holding short of 25 right. Let's go ahead and do our run-up. Parking brake is set. Annunciators test and consider. Everything is okay. Remote compass, slaved and aligned. We have it set to slaved. Yeah, it looks about right. Got 150.160.170. 150.160.165. So just a little bit off here. That's fine. Close enough here for my liking. Make sure full rich. Throttle with 1700 RPM. Alright, 1700 RPM set. Exercise the propeller to 300 RPM drop. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to check the magnetos, starting with the left mag. Looking for 150 max drop.
Daytona Tower.
Back to both.
723, have higher whiskey.
Coast Guard 723,
Right mag.
information whiskey.
Daytona Tower, Coast Guard 723, like to depart from the ramp VFR to the west.
Back to both.
Request flight following through the Charlie airspace.
Alright, instrument air is green.
Coast Guard 723,
Still checked.
Still have an open flight plan. Please
Primary alternator off.
first via the new flight button.
Load meter to secondary. And the alternator load should have increased, which I saw it flick over there. Standby alternator annunciator illuminated. Good. Standby alternator off. Alternator load should be 0. Checked. Primary and standby alternators can come back on. Load meter back to primary. There we go. Make sure we're above 25 amps. Just above it. Prop heat, come on. You can see the sudden spike in the alternator load and the prop amps We should be about 20 to 25 amps. Checked. Prop heat off. Throttle 1000 to 1200 RPM. Electric trim, we'll exercise it. Good movement. That is directly through my yoke controls. Autopilot test. So we're going to go over here to the Bendix King KFC 750. Press the test. Everything lights up like a Christmas tree. It's always a good sign. Except when you're flying. It's probably not a good thing. While the test completes, we'll set the heading buck 30 degrees left. So let's come over here. Go to 130. And then we're going to engage the autopilot and engage the heading mode. Here we go. We're watching the control movement here. Look at the flight director indicating a left bank. Now we're going to go 30 degrees right. So 16, 17, 18, 19. Flight director is following. Yoke is moving in the right direction. We're going to press the autopilot off. Good horn. Flight director can come off. Elevator trim set for takeoff. Windows closed. Aft door annunciator extinguished. Yep, don't see it. Flight controls free and correct. Forward. Aft on the elevator. Aileron. Left is up. Right aileron. Left is down. Right is up. Rudders feel good. Altimeters have been set to 991. Departure altitude set 8,000. Takeoff heading. We'll wait for that assignment here when we call them. Panel lights dim for takeoff. I like them where they're at right now. Lastly, parking brake released. Okay, I'm happy with how the aircraft is right now. We're going to go ahead and go altitude reporting. And let's let tower know we're ready for departure. Daytona Tower, Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, holding short 25 right, ready for departure.
Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, Daytona Beach International Airport Tower, runway 25 right, winds 220 at 5. Fly runway heading cleared for takeoff.
Fly runway heading cleared for takeoff, runway 25 right for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Alright, strobes on, landing lights on. Let's start the clock here on the yoke. Clear on the left, clear on the right. And we'll monitor that airspeed indicator there, and around 71 knots we'll start rotating. Alright, let's slowly introduce power so you can hear that turbo. Oh yeah, baby. And takeoff power is set. Airspeed's alive. 71 knots and drifting off center line here. There we go. Right rudder. Positive rate. Gear up. Let's climb, baby. Climb.
956, contact ground on 121.9er.
Alright, let's bring flaps up.
Tower, Archer 8956 with you on the ILS 7 left approach. 2 mile final.
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, contact departure on 118.85.
118.85 for Bonanza 480 or 408 Delta Delta. Daytona departure, Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, climbing 1,800 for 8,000. There we go, much smoother air here.
Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, Daytona departure, radar contact. Climb and maintain 13,000, turn left heading 160, vectors to Smyra, then is filed.
Climb and maintain 13,000. And what was the heading again for 408 Delta Delta? I didn't get that heading. Hold up. 160. Alright, we'll make that left turn to heading 160. Climb and maintain 13,000 for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta.
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, climb and maintain flight level 180.
Climb and maintain flight level 180 for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. There we go. 160. Let's hit that heading bug. What a difference when you have that turbocharger.
8 Delta Delta, direct Smyra, then is filed, please.
Direct Smyra, then is filed for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Alright, so what we're going to do is turn on the autopilot. Let's go nav. And clear direct to Smyra. And we're on a good course there. We're climbing at least 2,000 feet a minute here, as indicated by our vertical speed indicator. Alright, let's do a maximum continuous power climb here. So mixture, max power. You can see here on your EDM 800, you can see your horsepower at the top. As we're climbing, we should start leaning that mixture, get more power. There we go, let's find that sweet spot. Prop, let's maintain at 2,700 RPM, throttle full open. Cow flaps as required, keep them open. Air conditioning as required. Right now it's 66 degrees in here. So let's go ahead and pull some cabin heat on. Yeah, this thing is a monster compared to its naturally aspirated brother. So pretty awesome, pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and set that weather radar on now. I don't see any nasty weather up dead ahead, just some clouds. Beautiful evening. It'll definitely be nighttime by the time we get down to Key West, so that'll be an interesting approach. So we'll continue this climb in the meantime up to flight level 180. Check it out, we're at 18,000 feet. That took us 11 minutes, or just under 11 minutes. And it looks like we had a little bit of frost there on the windshield and on the windows, but looks like it's going away now, so that's a-okay. But if you ever find yourself in a frosty condition, look below the yoke here, and you've got your defrost lever you can pull on. So let's confer with our cruise checklist. Cow flaps closed, all the way up. Landing light is off. Pitot heat on if outside air temperature is less than 4 degrees Celsius. Indeed, where is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it looks like what, or it's at 8 or 10, somewhere in the negative 10 degrees Celsius. So it's a little bit chilly out there. So make sure that pitot heat is on. Prop heat. I'm not expecting any icing conditions here. You can see pretty smooth, pretty clean air. So I'm not going to use that right now. Fuel imbalance, 15 gallons max. So I've switched over to the right tank. It's found down here, just below your left leg. Tip tanks transfer as required. We'll keep them for now. Once we get that right tank somewhere in the same region as the left tank, we'll enable the transfer of the tip tanks to empty them out. Lean the mixture. So you can see right here in your EDM, you can use that. You can press lean fine. Lean. So let's go ahead. There we go. That's showing you your gallons per hour there. Prop to 2500 RPM. So let's go ahead and reduce our prop lever. Okay. Throttle full open. Cabin air and heat as desired. We've got a nice comfortable 74 degrees Fahrenheit air conditioning as desired. And engine performance monitor. Don't forget, right, as we're above 10,000 feet, we're going to be here for quite a while. Make sure that oxygen is turned on down here. Check out the pulse oximeter. Everything looks pretty good right now. Should be a nice comfortable evening flight down to Key West. Alright guys, as we're cruising along here at flight level 180, I wanted to cover one important instrument that is going to be very, very handy for your flights, especially on the turbocharged A36. So right here what we have is the Engine Data Management 800 system, or the EDM 800. It is a very, very advanced, well, let me not say very advanced, but it is the most advanced piston engine monitoring instrument on the market. And what it does is it monitors up to 24 critical parameters in your engine 4 times a second, right? So you can see right now it's going through its various checks on its normal method or whatever mode it is. But I want to talk about leaning here. Remember, this is Black Square, right? So these airplanes are alive, and depending on how you configure your settings and everything on the aircraft will determine your performance, your engine health, and all that. So when we're talking about leaning, there's 2 methods here that you'll see on the checklist. You're going to see the leaning rich of peak, or the ROP, or the leaning lean of peak, LOP. But before we go into that, let's talk about this button right here, the lean find. So tapping the lean find button will activate the lean find mode, an intelligent engine learning optimization feature that will help you optimally learn the engine's mixture for your best power or best economy. So it's going to be up to you, right, to determine if you want to be cruising at max power, max speed at the sacrifice of fuel, or reducing that performance at the benefit of saving some gas. You're going to be ultimately the one that decides that. So when the lean find button is activated, let's go ahead and press it now. You'll see the lean R will be shown in the data display by default to indicate that the selected leaning method is rich of peak, which is that R. So what is the rich of peak? Rich of peak, as the name suggests, means operating the engines at mixture settings richer than peak EGT, that is your exhaust gas temperature, usually in search of the most power from the engine. This is also known as leaning for best power, and can increase power by as much as 15% from peak values. On the other hand, you have the lean of peak, and as the name suggests, means operating the engine at mixture settings leaner than your peak EGT. This results in significantly lower fuel consumption and extended range. This is also known as leaning for best economy, and can decrease your fuel consumption by as much as 30% from peak values for only a 5 to 10% loss in airspeed. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to practice this by looking for that mode of lean of peak, or LOP. But right now, remember that the lean R means rich of peak. So how do we switch over to the lean L for the lean of peak? Well, you're going to want to hover your mouse, and you see right here it highlights the lean find or the step. Bring that mouse in between, and what we're going to do is we're going to click and hold that for about 3 seconds. So here we go. There we go. Lean L for lean of peak. So now I've zoomed out to show my mixture level here. So what we're going to do now is, because we're in the lean of peak mode, we're going to start leaning that mixture nice and gently until we see a peak. There we go. You see those numbers starting to fill in. So after completing the pre-leaning procedure above, continue leaning the mixture until one entire column begins flashing. So let's continue. Okay, so let's come back up. There we go. So that column is flashing. We see the message richest. This means that the peak EGT for the last cylinder to peak has been detected. The bar graph in LOP or lean of peak mode is shown in the form of a descending histogram, differentiated from the ROP or rich of peak mode. The left side of the data displayed now will show degrees relative to peak. Positive numbers indicate a mixture setting leaner than peak. This configuration can be further monitored by pressing the Lean Find button, which will now show the EGT of the last cylinder to peak and the fuel flow relative to peak. Negative fuel flows indicate operating lean of peak. So now that we've tried the LOP or lean of peak, let's try for the more performance mode here for rich of peak. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hover the mouse in between both of these controls. We're going to press and hold for 3 seconds. Lean R shown. And now we're going to continue leaning the mixture until one entire column begins flashing. Here we go, leaning. Looks like we're just below the threshold. Let's see what happens. And then that's how you come back to your rich of peak. So if you want more performance and you don't care about the gas you're burning, then this is going to be helpful to adjust. Now, if you don't have a flight control setup like the Honeycomb Bravo, where you have a separate control or physical lever for your mixture, you have something here that Black Square thought about, right? So you've got here your friction knob. So if you're only using your mouse, look, you can go clockwise for more friction, and then you can just hover your mouse and do small increments. If I loosen that up, make it loose, it moves a little bit more freely. So I'm going to keep it nice and tight. That's how I like to fly with my Honeycomb Bravo here. So I have more precision over my controls. And there you go. Look, right now we're pushing 294 horsepower out in lean of R or ROP, which is rich of peak. Again, guys, this is all that I've read to you is coming straight from the manual, included with your Bonanza Professional. So make sure you get familiar with it and practice. That's the only way you're going to learn this and get better behind the controls of your Bonanza Professional. Alright guys, we're over the Keys here. We're inbound towards Key West. We've been cleared to descend to 13,000. We've got the latest weather information, which is Yankee, winds are calm. Looks like we'll be expecting an approach for runway 9er. So let's go ahead and start configuring our descent here. First things first, let's arm the vertical speed. Let's go nose down. And let's check that descent checklist is, or check that descent checklist. Cowl flaps. Make sure, let's turn our lights here. Nope, that doesn't help. Alright, the cowl flaps are closed. Throttle reduce. Mixture enriching. Let's bring it forward just a bit there. Engine performance monitor. And cylinder head temperature 116 degrees Celsius minimum. We're good there, above 150. So that's our descent checklist complete. We'll continue on down to 13,000. Pitch black out there. Only the lights on the roads there heading towards Key West are going to guide us in. So let's see how we do here. Alright, so now we've been vectored to heading 270. So let's go ahead and set that up here on the heading bug. We're going to go to heading mode. And we're cleared to descend to 7,200 feet. Let's keep reducing power here. There's 72. Now we got to load the RNAV into Key West, but runway 27, not 09. 27 vectors. Let's load. And we've been handed off to contact Navy, or Key West Navy approach here, so I gotta give them a call now, let them know we've got information, Yankee. Navy Key West approach, Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, descending through 142 for 7,200.
Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, Navy Key West approach. Good evening, Key West altimeter 29904. Expect the RNAV runway 27 approach into Key West.
Altimeter 29904, expect the RNAV runway 27 approach into Key West for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Navy Key West approach, Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Can we get vectors towards the RNAV 27 approach?
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, descend and maintain 5400. Turn left heading 265 vectors for the RNAV runway 27 approach.
Descend and maintain 5,400. Left turn heading 265 vectors for the RNAV 27 for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. As we continue descending here now to 3,000, let's call up the approach checklist. Seats and seat belts secured. Fuel selector to the fullest tank. I think we were on the left tank and we're pretty even right now. So I'll make that change right before we land. Fuel imbalance, 15-gallon maximum. Remember, you guys can check that as well here on your payload tab. We're dead even, 23 gallons on each side. So make sure you keep an eye out on this. As you can see, I've emptied my tip tanks. So make sure you've got no more than 15 gallons of a variance there. Tip tank transfer as required. Oxygen can come off. Landing light on. You can see that nice spotlight there. Pitot heat and prop heat as needed for the prop heat. Pitot heat can come off if outside air temperature is greater than 4 degrees Celsius. Cowl flaps as required. Go ahead and open them. Mixture for max power. Mixture flaps set to approach when we need to.
Maintain heading 240 descend and maintain 2,000 until established. Cleared for the RNAV runway 27 approach.
Descend and maintain 2,000. Turn heading 240 until established. Cleared for the RNAV runway 27 approach for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. I see runway lights over there. Not sure if that's Key West or not. Nope. There's Key West. This is Boca Chica here, Naval Air Station Key West. That's the runway down over there. So it can get confusing. Let's go in here. Procedure. Activate vectors to final. Switch to nav.
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, contact Key West Tower on 118.2 at Burpee.
Switching to tower 118.2 at Burpee for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Still a mile and a half out, but we'll go ahead and switch comms now. Speed's coming down.
Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, Key West Tower, roger. Continue approach runway 27.
I don't even call them. Continue approach runway 27 for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. There we go. Crossing Burpee. Arm the approach mode. Let's go gear down. Taxi light on. That is blinding. Flaps to approach. Landing checklist. Propeller lever. High RPM. Mixture. Max power. Flaps as required. We're in the white arc here of our airspeed indicator. Let's go flaps full. Landing gear down and locked. Got 3 green. And for the autopilot, we'll disconnect it once we're ready to do so. Alright. See if I've got this button mapped. There we go. Autopilot is off. My controls. Reduce power just a bit. Just a little bit high on the glide slope. And we're continuing here, committing now. All right, a little harsher, but I'll take it. I think we've got a taxiway exit right here. Yep. Get on the brakes. All right. Let's get off the active here. We know we're going to make a left turn.
Delta Delta, welcome to Key West. Contact ground on 121.9er.
Ground 121.9er for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. Alright. 121.9. Let's go ahead and kill the strobes. Landing light can come off. After landing checklist, cow flaps open. It is in the down and open position. Flaps up. Lights as required. We just killed the strobes and the landing light. Pitot heat is off. Air conditioning as desired. Cabin air and heat as desired. After landing checklist complete.
UPS 1576.
Let's lean the mixture.
Papa requesting IFR clearance to
Oh, come on, dude.
Minnesota.
Key West ground, Bonanza 408 Delta Delta, off of 27, requesting taxi to signature.
1 second while I grab the paperwork.
Key West ground, November 707 Charlie Lima. Ready to copy IFR from Key West to Chicago Rockford with information kilo.
Still the flight director.
Bonanza 8 Delta Delta, taxi to signature aviation via Alpha Bravo 6. Good day.
Alpha Bravo 6 to signature for Bonanza 408 Delta Delta. So long. Let's see where Bravo 6 is at. Bravo 5. Here's Bravo 6. Let's go park right by that hangar over there, the main hangar. There's the old FBO. This no longer is the Key West layout. They've since had a huge upgrade and it's a more comfortable FBO now. See if we can do a 180. There we go. Alright, shut down and securing checklists. Parking brake set. Radar can come off. Let's set this transponder to standby. Avionics power off. All sub-panel switches off, so let's turn lights off. Close the vents. Kill the lights. And let's go ahead and close that throttle. It is. Prop lever full forward. Mixture to cut off. Magnetos off. Alternators off. Battery off. Kind of cold and dark. See if I can see my handle. There it is. Close the little vent. And let's take a look outside here. I hear somebody touching down. Uh-oh. Okay, there they are. Oh, Delta. It's like an Airbus came in. All right, guys. Well, welcome to Signature here at Key West. Hope you enjoyed that flight. This was a very rare night flight for me. I typically do my flights in the mornings or in the daytime, but it's always fun to challenge ourselves a little bit there. And as you can see, we were able to do a RNAV approach into Key West here aboard the 836TC. This is continuing on our tutorial series for the Black Square Bonanza Professional. So guys, I hope you learned something. Keep in mind, I am still learning myself. So I will be polishing my skills behind the Bonanza as I continue to do these videos. And of course, stay tuned because we are going to be working on the Baron as well. But for now, we'll focus on this bad boy. Definitely better performance than I expected compared to the naturally aspirated 836. So I am very happy we were able to do that flight here in just over an hour and a half. So guys, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what I can do better. And again, if that ATC chatter is annoying, then let me know and I will try to do my tutorials just plain Jane without any interferences. All right, guys, take care. Captain Gonzo with that Flight Sim channel. Smooth landings, happy flying. See you on the next one.